Stampers, and welcome to Laura's Stamp Pad. Today I'm just going to show you a quick little tip of something that I like to do a lot, which is layering my images that are punched out. So many of you might look at this and think, how did you get that back layer, that navy blue look behind the decorative label punch? Because this is what the punch looks like, but there's not a second one to go with it for that perfect layering. So I'm going to show you how I did that. Of course, here I have my birthday greeting. I used the Tin of Cards stamp set, and then I have my decorative label punch. So I punched out my greeting, but you know, it looks like it just fades away, white on white. So I wanted a little something to back that up. So I would back that with maybe some Bermuda Bay or another color that would match my card. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a piece of scrap Bermuda Bay and punch it out. And then now I'm going to take my paper snips and cut it directly in half. And technically you can go directly in half either way and it will work. Then I'm going to take my stamped little piece and add adhesive to the top and to the bottom. And then I'm not going to actually pick up this piece. I find it's always a lot easier to just leave it down, because if I sit here and try to do it this way, then my thumb is in the way and I can't really see. So I just leave it down there, line it up as deep or as shallow as I wish to have popping out there, and then press down. And then again, I have sticky on this top half, so I'm just going to lay it down there and then press down. And now you have that beautiful border. So now I want to show you a little tip. How well can you see, let's see, can you see these little blue pieces popping out here on the edges? Because since those are these little tips here, those actually are kind of in the way, and since you cut right in half there, then they still kind of stick out. So I'm going to show you what I usually do. First I punch it out, and then I just kind of cut that off. So I just kind of round it out, and you know, there's no rhyme or reason to it, just a little kind of swoop in and around to cut those off. And then I cut mine in half. That way I don't have those little tips sticking out there on that spot. So okay, so that's why I go ahead and I cut off those little pieces, so you get these little scrap pieces all over the place. And then I go ahead and layer that on. You can also, if you're running low on paper, you have a whole bunch of like little skinny scraps that you want to get rid of, you can always just slide the punch in halfway like that and punch, and then do 2 of those, and then you don't actually have to cut it in half. You can always just use that. So that's a great way to use up your scraps, because I know we all like to hoard scraps. Or am I the only one? I don't think I am. So then you have your little halves there. And of course you could go the other way too. You could always, now I'm working with Night of Navy, but you could always chop off those little side tips and then cut it in half going that way. And then again, just go ahead and add adhesive to the back of your greeting on the top and the bottom, and then stick it down. One other little tip I wanted to show you is, do you ever have a small little piece and you're trying to punch it out, but it's too small that your hands don't actually fit into the punch, and so then you're trying to go like this and move it around, but it might be kind of difficult? Well, one of the things you can do is you can take another little scrap piece, and it can be bigger or smaller than this, add just a little dab of adhesive to the tip of it, stick it on your piece of paper that's too small, and then use that as a handle. Here, I'm right-handed, so let's do this over here. So then you can use that as a little handle to help you slide it in and move it around. And then of course, since that's on the back side, then you can just pull that off, because it just had that little bit of sticky. So anytime you have too small of a piece and you can't fit it in because you're trying to use up those little scraps, then just use this little piece, and then, you know, it chopped off the tip, add a little adhesive there, and keep moving until all of this is gone, because this is a small piece that could be used for something else, but it also could be really helpful as well. So don't forget to use those scraps, or you could always use a Post-it note or something like that that has just a little bit of tacky adhesive on the back. So here's this card again with that beautiful layer, just adding that little pop of navy to the Calypso coral that I used there. So just a little tip on how to use your punches for layering and to save on paper and use up your scraps. Until next time, happy stamping. Bye-bye.